Shout out to everybody that joined us back on Twitch. Hopefully y'all can hear us now. It should be good. Norwood should be able to hear us all the way. If not,
every now and then you have a little technical difficulty, have a little hate that happens.
I don't even know why it happened though. That's the thing.
Oh, we back. I heard it.
You hear it?
Yeah.
All right, so welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 177 of the Splashcast Monday Night Raw. I'm your co-host, Reggie.
I'm your co-host, Norwood. I have a very strange, I had the YouTube in my ear, so I was waiting on me to be me. But yeah, we here. We here to kick it.
Yeah, we back, man. So, hey, look, man, y'all just gonna I'll have to just post the pregame because I got it all recorded. I just don't know why you couldn't hear it on the stream. So what we'll end up doing is we'll end up posting the pregame, talked about the Braves, talked about the Robo-Umps. And we just started the stream over so that y'all can hear us. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear both of us in the chat. Well, give us a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear both of us on the stream. Dang, we had a whole lot of good jokes that kind of. I'll put the jokes in.
We were saving them for later anyway.
But y'all know what it is when it comes to Monday Night Raw. We do HBCU news around the culture, followed by football and basketball or whatever is in season. So it could be basketball and football. Got a few things we're gonna talk about today, man. We had the undefeated teams in the SWAC. That is the Norfolk State University women's basketball. I mean, in their conference, the Norfolk State women's basketball in the MEAC, the Texas Southern women's basketball in the SWAC, and the men's Southern University basketball team in the SWAC as well are all undefeated in the conference. Shout out to them, man. Starting off strong.
And that's what it's about, especially in basketball. The sooner you can get to playing good basketball, the higher chance you'll have of being successful. So getting off to on the right foot for sure. And I mean, even the Hamptons girls and boys basketball team playing pretty well this year. I'm impressed.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. And I think Norfolk State has more SEC wins. They got two SEC wins this year, and I think it's a couple of winless SEC schools. So you let a MEAC team
not my problem
have more conference wins than you in your own conference. So shout out to them as well. Other news, man, I told y'all it's been a crazy month for the MEAC in terms of hiring football coaches, firing football coaches too. Dawson Odoms is gone, but they brought in Mike Vick for Norfolk State. Delaware State brings in Deshaun Jackson. We talked about LaShawn McCoy being foolish. It was just a lot of talk. But one thing that has happened is, I believe, the Delaware State-Norfolk State game, which instantly became one of the most anticipated games of the year, has now been scheduled for November 1st, 2025. I believe it's going to be at Delaware State.
Hey, College Game Day, make that happen. All of y'all people go to the damn game, support HBCUs, and spend some money and buy some merchandise when you're there.
Definitely, especially Norfolk State. I mean, Norfolk State, them too. But Delaware State, y'all have a chance to really put a stranglehold on HBCU looking students, and HBCU students looking for HBCUs and those opportunities in the Northeast. So if you could do that, that would be actually fantastic. And I believe Deshaun, he's already set records for the highest, rated recruit, and Mike Vick is bringing in a 4-star or whatever. It's starting.
He's unfortunately cleaned up on a couple of the Hampton guys too. So
yeah, immediately saw them. Immediate offensive tackle. Immediate offensive tackle. So that's going to be a fun game, though. I really can't wait to see that. It should be one of the better games of the season.
Go to the game. Go in the game.
Yeah, or go in the game, buy the tickets, take pictures, post social media, good wholesome social media. We don't need to see, world star type stuff every time. Just post y'all having a good time, post the alumni, post the strolling, post all of that. The chapters, you fraternity, all y'all should have group pics and all of that good stuff. This should be this should be a moment to where they're like, man, we need to turn this into a classic, something like that.
Right.
So, hey man, Hawks down 14. So,
10.
I can't wait for that game. In other news, Milton Patterson, I believe he is the defensive coordinator for FAMU, correct? Or was?
Correct.
He is now being appointed the defensive coordinator on Mike Vrabel's staff at the New England
Inside linebackers coach.
Inside linebackers coach at Mike Vrabel's staff in the New England Patriots, which is a hell of a jump because now you've got your foot in the door for the next level. And Milton Patterson's done it right. He's been everywhere from Clark. I think he went to FAM, if I'm not mistaken. That's his alma mater, if I'm not mistaken. Clark, he coached at Clark, Alabama State, just to name a few. Being at FAM, he's been everywhere. So he definitely has put in his dues for coaching at the HBCU level.
And FAMU head coach James Colsey said this talks about how great he did and will continue to do. It's a great opportunity for his family. Colsey told Tallahassee Democrats, come on, T-Pain. This guy has gone through the ranks and made so many sacrifices for his family. Seeing him reap the benefits and get an opportunity to go to the NFL, that's what we dream of. And this is legitimately HBCU defensive coordinator, NFL middle linebackers coach. That is great. Also, shout out to his pockets. You know how we love to see our people specifically secure a bag. That's a new bag. Let me tell you that.
And it gets him in you need that experience. A lot of times now that DEI is going away. A lot of times people use your experience against you. They say, well, you don't have experience coaching on this level, but then they won't give you a job to coach on that level. So for him to get his foot in the door to then get that experience to say, I've coached inside linebackers, I've coached this, I've coached everything, then now he can make his way. I wouldn't be surprised if he does well enough. He could be a defensive coordinator. You're basically one step away from being a defensive coordinator in the NFL.
Funny story that you bring up, DEI. The prior connection he has with Mike Vrabel is they were a part of the NFL. Well, Patterson in 2023 spent the offseason as a part of the NFL Diversity Fellowship. It's funny how you put people near other people and then suddenly they see that these other people are qualified.
Yeah, but don't let golly, I really gotta tuck it. I can't say the jokes I want to say.
Got to tuck it. Sometimes, sometimes that's really it. Sometimes you just go in there and you want to be yourself, but you can't. So you just say tuck it. I'm gonna say that tomorrow at work. Tuck it. Tuck it. I'm doing the best I can. Tuck
it. Tuck it away. Or don't. Moving on. So shout out to Milton Patterson.
Do.
Shout out to Milton Patterson. Xavier Rowing Club, Xavier University in New Orleans, has now makes history as the first HBCU to expand to varsity level rowing. They are the first rowing club starting in the 25-26 academic school year. They launched a partnership with the New Orleans rowing clubs in 2023 and has already gained national attention and support from leaders like Olympic rower David Banks and Arshay Cooper. Ironically, this seems like a little bit of DEI right here too. Like, rowing is a sport that they needed to expand and really involve more minorities because the sport is really fun to watch if you watch it in the Olympics. And the fact that they just couldn't get a foothold in the training of the HBCU student. I'm looking for Hampton to have something soon.
Well, I mean,
we got Sam.
I would like that, but exactly. It's one of those things where hopefully along the way, it takes strategic partnerships because it takes money. But you look at what Steph has done with the Howard golf team. You look at Fisk and their gymnastics program. You look at what Hampton has with a sailing team and with a lacrosse team, and now you look at Xavier with a rowing team. Given the opportunity, given an adequate amount of funding, we could do more. And I'll be straight up with you. I think it's better for gymnastics when you have an HBCU competing. I think it's better for golf when you have an HBCU competing. I think it's better for rowing and sailing when you have an HBCU team competing, because you're going, like, all of these sports need more visibility.
Mm-hmm.
This is a way for you to gain a unique visibility with a fan base that feverishly supports whatever they can. So it's not mutually exclusive. It is a situation where both the organization, the sport, and the school can help each other out. And we need more of that.
Yeah. I'm excited to see or see where this goes and see if there's an expansion into other. Of course, HBCUs now, you're not going to be able to do it on all of them because a lot of them are landlocked. But the Florida schools, the Gulf schools, the Mid-Atlantic.
All the schools are going west. I mean, on the East Coast, all day.
Yeah, you can get all of them. So that should be fun, man. That should be great. And it's just another avenue. Hey, man, can't hold us down. And finally, Grambling State University's Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, Travion D. Scott, announced that the upcoming GSU Athletics Annual Fund, inspired by the House versus NCAA case, will allow for revenue sharing with the students. If you remember, we brought this up with University of Tennessee. They were the first ones to bring this up of revenue sharing with the students. And now this has gone over to Grambling State. Now, with Tennessee, I think the issue was that they were passing that cost on to the student and to the patron who was trying to go to the game. Correct. I wonder how Grambling State is going to do this.
Yes, I like this because there's a synergy that comes with profit sharing. I have worked for multiple companies where profit sharing has been a thing. So, yeah, you take in your day-to-day a little bit differently because I know that our collective efforts are going to pay off for me. So, yeah, every day that I come to work, I'm trying to do the best at my job, because when that profit share number comes, even though I'm only one small grain of sand in this massive corporation, if I do my part, I do have some influence. Not the most influence, but we're connected and we're tied in this thing. And when you get that number, when it comes out right, you feel a part of something larger, and you feel connected, and you kind of recommit, like, oh, we did this, and y'all gonna give me this? Oh, let's run that back. We can do this again. I like the way y'all do. And it's, we have to make money. It's not like a lot of these schools for a long time was just like, oh, this is what I think athletes have always wanted, is y'all are going to get rich. Just let us get some of the money along the way. Had they done this from the beginning, then I think that this was a way more reasonable thing, because I'm only paying you out of the profit that we make. So if we don't make nothing, it's nothing for anybody. But if we do our part, then we can all get some money here.
Yeah, you can. I like it because you're also able to entice other recruits to come to your establishment, right? Even the ones that if they're not seeing the numbers, everybody's not going to be Jeremiah Smith or Tate, his teammate, to go to and get paid $5 million to go to the transfer portal. Everybody ain't going to be able to do that. And everybody's not going to have teammates that are going to be like, well, my NIL is this much. I'm going to go ahead and pay for his expenses since he can't. Right. Everybody's not going to have that. Those are unique cases, and that's why you only see one or two of them. But what you can have is a negotiation tactic where you can say, hey, if I can get 5 of y'all this Baton Rouge team has a state championship team with 15 players that can play college football right now. If I could get 5 of y'all to come to Southern, right, I know that y'all gonna bring in all the revenue. This also entices other people, other HBCUs now to go back and play the money games too.
Yeah, because we all
Now,
gonna get paid now.
now that's interesting, and I wonder how that will work if HBCUs play like FAMU plays a Florida State or Florida, and they both have this, or we'll just say Grambling and Tennessee since they both have this in there. If Grambling and Tennessee play each other, what does that mean for the revenue sharing and all of that stuff? Does Grambling now get to negotiate and say, well, we want part of the revenue for our NIL too, versus we just gonna pay you $500,000?
That's one of the things that I think has moved us away from classics, is that when you go to the neutral venue, you got to pay for the venue and all the rest of that. So you're not getting as much money as I'll take a home game and an away game, where when it's my home game, I get everything, food and bev, I get ticket sales, I get sponsorship. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a conversation to be had. I think that there is a special place for classics, but I think that you got to do it where there are more people who have to benefit now. But I think that I'm a person who doesn't mind sharing so that everybody can get a piece.
Because you black. That's been our detriment. Because there's a demographic that don't share with nobody.
I'm also trying to go to the right upper room. A small investment. Hey, keep that on my book.
Keep
I share well.
your head to the sky. Oh man! All right. Well, that's a good way to end this, ladies and gentlemen. We come to the end of the HBCU segment of Chinese weather balloons, otherwise called Tuck It, episode 177. We will be right back with our NFL segment. We got a few things to talk about. We're going to talk about Dallas first thing because that's exactly what Jerry wants us to do. Jerry wants us to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, and we're going to be obliged. Then we got some other more coaching carousel news. Then we also have the AFC and NFC championship games to talk about before we then move on to basketball. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. Like, follow, and subscribe.
And I'm coming back. I guess I'm coming back with 2 beers because that's probably all it's going to take. We ain't got a ton of stuff to talk about. It's actually kind of calming on down for some of us. Some of us is just heating up.
Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with our football segment of episode 177 of the Splashcast Monday Night Raw. Got a few things we're going to talk about today. Actually, we only got one thing we're going to talk about today. That's NFL Championship weekend in terms of games that were actually played. We do have some news, coaching carousel news. I tried to wait. I thought you had already poured it. We do got
double
some
up, baby, double up.
We got some coaching carousel news on the way. Why not? Let's start out. Let's do it. Y'all know what we starting off with.
Get consent, please.
Oh, man.
Bad boys. What you gonna do?
Tuck
what
it.
you gonna do when they come for you?
Tuck it.
Hey.
All right, so the Cowboys made a surprise hire by signing Brian Schottenheimer to a 4-year deal, contractually tying him to Dallas to 2028.
Who?
Marty Schottenheimer's son.
Oh, Lil Shotty.
Lil Shotty.
Lil Shotty. They never gonna call him. He's the new Zachary Taylor Thomas before we even start the season. Lil Shotty.
So let me look this up real quick because I want to say Brian Schottenheimer has not been regarded as being good anything. Like a good coordinator, a good position coach. Like he is the epitome. He was a St. Louis Rams assistant, wide receivers coach at Syracuse in 1999, tight ends coach, quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator.
The requirement to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. You didn't know that? I feel like my grandma. I bet you didn't know that, did you? You want to know what the requirement to be coach of the Dallas Cowboys is?
A boy.
You shut up and do what Jerry tells you to do.
A boy.
And I'll be honest, I take the job. Jerry, you ain't gonna talk to me crazy. But if you ask me to do something, I'll do it. For sure. I ain't qualified for this job. How I'm gonna tell you?
Well,
I ain't qualified for it, and you ain't qualified for it, but you pay the bill. So
what's interesting is that I've read a few things where Jerry has quoted loyalty in all of these things. If you notice, people that he rewards are people that stay with the organization. Brian Schottenheimer, they kind of hired him as like they put him on the Saban plan, like the Sarkisian Saban plan. So like he was the offensive coordinator in Seattle. Seattle wasn't good. He was the Jacksonville Jaguars passing game coordinator last year. We see what that got you. So then they sent him to Dallas as an analyst. So he was an analyst in 2022 under McCarthy. Then he was the offensive coordinator on 2023 and 2024. And now he's been promoted to the head coach. So if you think about people wanting to hire, if you think about the practice of losing a head coach, normally you want, and he's especially an offensive head coach, normally you want to hire the offensive coordinator unless the head coach takes the offensive coordinator with him. Mike McCarthy does not have a job yet. So therefore, Brian Schottenheimer does not have a job. So in totality, thinking of like hire and how you want to replace coaches, this is the right move. But this is the wrong person. It's the right move, but the wrong person. If the Falcons had done this with Kyle Shanahan and signed LaFleur, we would have, Dan Quinn would probably still be the coach there. I don't say probably, but he would have been there for a while.
If you don't want me, then don't talk to me.
See what I'm
Go
saying?
ahead and free yourself.
But I don't know what Dallas is doing. Jerry's old. You don't have time to build.
Nobody knows what Dallas is doing but Jerry. And Jerry trying to have a glass of scotch. So this is what we will get. We'll get entertainment. Pants are 100% optional. But this is the reason that we tune in to look and to laugh. Not my problem, not my monkey, not my show. And I love that. I love it. Genuinely do. So, yeah, we're going to sit back, relax, and enjoy this. Cheers.
I don't know. I don't even know, like, what staff is he hiring? Like, is the staff going to go with McCarthy? Is he going to hire a whole new staff? Like, Schottenheimer ain't never been in no position to have a staff. Quarterbacks coach, offense coordinator.
Reggie, you are my boy.
He coached Mike Sanchez.
Let me help you out. Do not waste your time trying to figure out what Jerry is going to do, because you won't. You can't. Because we use logic and reasoning and all of these things. And Jerry has made it kind of clear. He ain't interested in no logic nor no reason.
None. I run the show. I think him and Steven are beefing low key.
Yeah, he probably like, man, I'm waiting on this to kick the bucket so I can get this. And I don't know. I'm not gonna waste any time trying to figure it out, though. For sure not.
Oh, I wasted a whole 4 or 5 hours after this came out. I was like, bro, there's got to be something that I'm missing, that the world is missing. That this
don't know why. That Norah Jones.
Oh man. So the Cowboys are in for more pain and suffering. And now you gotta sign Micah. And I ain't gonna lie, if I was Micah, this is one of the most underwhelming hires that you exactly. I'm out of here, bro. I'm gonna be the top paid defensive player in the league.
Micah, if I'm CD, I'm out. I ain't gonna be there. You are who?
They just paid CD. You know, Jerry ain't about that. Jerry at the point now where he don't care what you want to do.
Hey Jerry, I don't know if you heard about this guy. You gonna find out very soon. His name Jimmy Butler, and me, I'll be the new Jimmy. And as soon as I don't cooperate, it's over for you, my boy. This team cannot deal without any of those guys. You need Dak, you need CD, and you need Micah. And if I was all or any of them, ain't doing it. Ain't going. I ain't going back and forth. No, I ain't going to that stadium. I ain't going nowhere. Find a replacement. Or don't. I don't care.
I don't know, man. I don't know what Dallas is doing. You're right. I mean, I put enough thought into this. I know that all my Dallas Cowboy fans, all my friends that are Cowboys fans, are either mute or extremely loud with the frustration. There was no jovial Cowboys fan, I think, in the nation. I don't think anybody was happy about this hire. Nobody. I have not heard one good word about this.
I'm thrilled about it. I love content creation. Jerry is no shortage of giving us things to talk about on this podcast. Shout out to him. Beautiful stadium, by the way, too. Beautiful.
Eagles Commando. Oh, I'm sorry. Nope. Bobby Slowick. So in one of the more egregious or pronounced fall-offs over 365 days for a coach, it has to be Bobby Slowick, the former offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. Just last year, the Houston Texans made it to the AFC divisional game, if I'm not mistaken. And they lost. But C.J. Stroud was a rookie. Tank Dell was hurt, but you saw the potential. Nico Collins was there. The defense was crazy. D'Amico Ryans was good, is a great coach. Like, you had all of these positives. And then this year, the defense got better, and the offense regressed heavily.
I think this is a really bad knee-jerk reaction. I think it's a terrible one.
Literally about to ask. I was literally about to bring that up. Like, you can't go from
moving all the time. Stop moving.
You can't go from the hottest coach to wanting to be a head coach to talking him into staying and turning down head coaching opportunities. Remember, Houston kept him by talking to him into staying. And then, because he was on his way to Washington, if I'm not mistaken. And then you fire him a year later. I don't know if this is a knee-jerk reaction versus there's something that we don't know that may have happened in the locker room or something of that sort.
Hey, whatever it happened, whatever it was, number one, Your QB is going to have the sophomore slump that every QB has. Jay Daniels, it's unfortunate, but you up next. Then you lost Tank Dell. You lost Diggs. Well, yeah, if I lose wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, my offense is going to look different. I think that if any team loses wide receiver 1 and 2,
and 3. Now, Nico Collins was hurt for like 7 weeks.
right. And then Mechie, he coming back from his own situation. So yeah, it to me it's an overreaction that is, I mean, relatively uncalled for. It's crazy to me, but the other part about it is you're gonna end up. There's a high chance that you look stupid when this is all said and done.
Houston,
because I take Slowick over Zach Robinson right now. I don't want to say that too loud, but
or he goes right to Detroit to a ready-made team. With a ready-made team. They just lost their offense and defensive coordinator. Although they did sign, I think they promoted somebody to defensive coordinator. Slowick going. If I were him, you could either go there, you could go to the Raiders, whoever signs the Raiders. You have a multitude of places that you could go where you are 6 to 8 weeks removed from being a head coach. Because I mean, Houston wasn't bad. They won a division. They won a division, and you fired your offensive coordinator
after losing wide receiver 1 and 2,
3 and 4.
What did you expect to happen? But that's what happens. People get too greedy. They want everything all the time. Can't get it fast enough. And then you start acting outside of yourself. So that's what happens. But I'm fine with it. Now, I hate that for D'Amico because I want to see him be successful. But that also requires patience. I say here, like, begrudgingly, but I mean it. Y'all got the knee-jerk reaction is rarely the answer. Rarely.
That's why I said I think for D'Amico doesn't seem like a knee-jerk reaction guy. So this seems like there may have been a rift in the locker room between somebody and somebody. And it was a forced, like, I have to make this move.
But I also believe that there's a lot of pressure from the top because they still trying to come. I mean, this team isn't that far away from the Deshaun Watson situation. So yeah, winning is the only thing that's keeping them from looking crazy.
Well, let me tell you what you're not gonna do that everybody else is figuring out. That man in Kansas City gonna get a lot of people fired if that's what that is. Because at the end of the day, bro, that's your barometer. Like, you have to measure yourself up against Kansas City, and can you challenge Kansas City? They're there. They can challenge Kansas City. They challenged Kansas City and felt like they were wronged in the game just this year. They felt, and they really could have won the game. And now you fired the offensive coordinator. I think they put like 30 points on them.
You better make good decisions.
And I don't know who you go get. I don't know who you go get. That's the thing I'm trying to figure out, because a lot of people been snatched up already. And the timing of this was weird. You did this after everybody else had been fired. You waited a whole game.
Like, not my problem.
It's tight. It's tight. In other news, Pete Carroll, 73 years old, 137 and 89 and 1 record in 14 seasons at the Seattle Seahawks. Before that, he had a whole nother coaching career with the New England Patriots. In between that, he had a whole nother coaching career at USC. And I believe before USC, wasn't he at like Washington or something like that?
They said Pete Carroll been coaching for 50 years.
He's 73. He's been coaching since his 20s. And the Raiders, Tom Brady went from Ben Johnson, trying to court Ben Johnson, we talked about that last week, to hiring Pete Carroll. That is like the opposite end of the spectrum that I don't understand.
I get that, but I also understand the Pete Carroll.
Culture creator. Dan Quinn
Yeah,
hire.
but just better. Pete's been successful everywhere, and even though he's not coaching in Seattle, I think he's had at least a decent amount to do with the reason they're still successful. A lot of teams fall off when you lose a coach like that. Hasn't been a fall off. It ain't been perfect, but it ain't a fall off for sure. And I think people get too comfortable in not falling off. That fall off will humble you. Trust us. Trust me. As a Falcons fan, you have a year of Mariota and a year of Ritter. You come back humble, hat in hand. You know what? I could have probably handled that a little bit better.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have one of those quarterbacks? Do you have one of those? Please, hat in hand. Yes.
I'm talking about
bruh,
you sitting there with your lip poked out. Tuck that lip in, boy.
Oh, man. Now, it is only a 3-year deal, so I'm assuming after a year or two there's an out somewhere in there. But, I mean, coaches' contracts are guaranteed.
That's a Kirk Cousins. You got this season and next season. And if you – and really you only got – if it's a 3-year contract, you got 1.5 years to prove yourself.
If I was Tom Brady, I would or Pete Carroll, and I knew what if this is what we talk about it as just a culture building deal, I would hire Bobby Sloak as my offensive coordinator, and then that would just be my coach in waiting. Like you would just that would be it, and I would just hire. I would develop my defensive coordinator. You got Brock Bowers, just figure out somebody to throw him the ball. Like it is what it is. Now you got some cleanup to do on the defensive side now because Crosby is upset.
Let him go. Trade him. Get a haul back.
Bro, you fighting that microphone, ain't you?
I bumped it on accident. Now I'm trying to get it right. But yeah, I am not like when you have these. Max Crosby is in that. I don't know if I want to call him generational talent, but he's sure an elite edge rusher.
No, he's not.
I know. But he's an elite edge rusher, number one. Number two, he's also a culture guy. He's a guy, I told you, if they want 2 firsts for Max Crosby, give them to him. We're not going to draft a guy in this year or next year that good. Not at edge. I don't trust us to do that. Give me a proven. And he's still young enough. So, yeah, I take him in a heartbeat. And he's a guy who's going to make the rest of your defense play with some intensity. He's the captain of that defense for sure. And if you have Max Crosby on the front end of that defense and Jesse Bates on the back end of that defense, you into something there. For sure.
Yeah. So we'll see what Oakland does because this Pete Carroll just doesn't match the long-term play of unless you're going to let him coach till he 80. I mean, but I guess we win a Super Bowl or get to an AFC something in 3 years, then you keep him. But
you just spent a ton of money on this massive stadium. You have to normalize winning. I think that people kind of miss what it means to normalize winning. Winning culture doesn't always show up like Dan Campbell overnight. Sometimes you need, as much as people feel about Kirk Cousins got us back to remembering what a good quarterback looked like. It had been so long that we have forgotten. You're just watching Mariota throw from off the ground, Desmond Ritter just fumbling. Yeah, give me Kirk Cousins so that my guys can feel comfortable with seeing what winning looks like. Because if you do too much losing, then you become losers. Then you have to control, alt, delete everybody, blink, blink, and start over.
I don't know if I still don't. I didn't subscribe to that with Kirk. I don't. Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess it could be different.
Wait. Remember what the Falcons looked like after we had the Mariota season and after we had the Desmond Ritter season. I think we had a bunch of guys that was like, had we lost, had we tanked this season and not been competitive? Oh man, it would have. I think Drake London would have probably been ready to go. Rightfully so.
Sure. Maybe it's different for coaching. Maybe it's I don't agree. Like I said, I don't agree with the Kirk Cousins. You can dress it up however you want to and get us used to winning and all that stuff. $100 million ain't worth it to me. Pete Carroll, if he's not winning and he's just trying to establish culture, unless you have another play that's already there, which I'm not doubting that Tom Brady doesn't, then Jaguars still undefeated. That there's a play that's already there.
Then, Southern, not Jacksonville.
Then maybe there's another play. But to me, it sounds like Ben Johnson was the hire for them. And when he went to Chicago, they just pivoted and was like, okay, we'll get Pete Carroll. We'll hold him here for a year or two. Possibly do the same thing that Seattle did the last couple of years. Coach with him till you can find out who you want or get who you want and then put him in the front office. And that's what they'll probably end up doing with Oakland if he leaves. To me, that's what I see happening.
Yeah.
But it is what
and
it is.
I think that Pete also, I mean, you're right. I coach for 3 more years now. I'll go to the Raiders front office where I'm going to get my money because Davis pay money. And, I mean, Tom Brady is committed to, I think, making this Raiders team be good. I think that he's probably
he don't like to fail. So I mean,
yes. And I think that he's probably ready to get out of commentating. I think that this is going to be his new baby.
He already said I am committed. I want to finish this entire contract. I enjoy commentating, and they paying you a bajillion dollars to do it.
Let them Raiders turn it around. He gonna double down on that investment. I 100% believe that. I might be wrong.
Why would they let you double down? They ain't gonna let you pay more money. They are if they making money hand over fist. So I wouldn't give you no more ownership. You can't double down on nothing.
It is still Tom Brady though, and when I go in there and say, "Hey man," because the other part about it is Tom Brady can make calls that nobody else can make. Every time, even though old boy didn't take the job, he took the. That's the same thing that happened with the quarterback in Michigan. When Tom Brady is one of the few people, when I call, your phone is on. Because, and not only is your phone on, it's like a Michael Jordan phone call. Hey, Jordan's going to call you in 20 minutes. Have your phone ready. When Tom say, hey, I'm going to call you, even if you don't want to take the job because the job ain't for you, what you're not going to do is you're not going to play Tom Brady.
Sure.
That costs.
That I think that you have that for a certain amount of time, and if you don't turn it around, you're wrong. Because as much as you say that about Jordan, and that if Jordan called them last few years, Jordan was at the Wizards, ain't one really getting no coaching interviews. You ain't hear about a lot of interviews with the Wizards. You ain't hear about a lot of stuff. I mean, not the Wizards, with the Hornets.
But I'm hear about none of that stuff. If Michael Jordan calls, every NBA player is going to answer the phone.
And Charlotte wasn't. He was majority owner, so I think it's a little different because he can be like, I don't have to. I'm not going to give you more ownership. Where Tom Brady is asking for more ownership, which I don't think he's going to get. But we'll see. We'll see. This story out of Jacksonville. Cohen and Balk. So Liam Cohen was the offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers. If you remember, before that, the Panthers' new head coach was the offensive coordinator the year before. They brought in Liam Cohen.
Canellis.
Yeah, and they brought in Liam Cohen, and they didn't really miss a beat outside of injuries. So you would always assume that once somebody is good or outkicks their coverage in terms of performance, overperforms, that somebody's going to get snatched up as a coach. What's funny about this, or what's interesting about this, is he turned down the opportunity to be the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, talking about Liam Cohen, just like last week, and told Baker Mayfield that he's coming back. Fast forward to 5 days ago, Jacksonville the owner fires the GM, Trent Balk, and they circle back.
Balky.
My bad, Balky. They circle back and hire Liam Cohen. whatever happened, Jacksonville is in just disarray. It's awful. I don't get it. 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 I don't know
So
what
what
happened.
happened was number one, and when Trent Baalke was the GM, Cohen said, "Oh, I don't want to deal with that dude." So he had agreed in principle with the Buccaneers, in principle, that's the equivalent of allegedly, but did not sign any paperwork. Jacksonville immediately, they interviewed one more coach, then they immediately fire Baalke. Now this is, go back, I think 2 or 3 episodes where they had the Zoom. And Khan said,
forgot about that. You can be fired.
He can be fired. And one thing you can never do, and I ain't gonna say never, but that to me is one of the most immense chump offs ever. Is I am on the Zoom with you, and you like, oh, well, if the right coach come around, I'll fire him, bro. I'm on the call with you. What do you mean I could be fired? So, Cohen
no
says,
miscommunication there. None of that. Crystal clear.
So, Cohen says, I'm not dealing with Baalke. Baalke immediately fired. Then
it's not funny.
It is funny because he told you. It's like when you tell a girl, no, we are not mutually exclusive. And then they delusion in their head that it's just y'all two. It's me and you and somebody else's. And then Cohen goes back to Jacksonville. Bucks can't get him on the phone. Mind you, you also got to think about this from the Baker Mayfield point of view. Damn near every year Baker's been in the NFL, he's had a new offensive coordinator or a new coach or both. So he like, damn, he like Will Smith in the empty house. And Jacksonville locks him in Jacksonville, and he ends up getting the job in Jacksonville as the head coach.
And I'm sure he's going to pluck some of those dudes off that coaching staff, too. That's what it is about head coaches for me. The coaches hiring is cool. The plucking of the staff.
This is the point where I would be very careful if I was everybody. I am not sold on Cohen. I don't know if Cohen is actually a good coach or if you had the right combination of players. Because let's be very real. Tampa Bay is a good team at full strength, specifically on offense. Godwin, Mike Evans, hungry Baker Mayfield. You drafted the kid McMillan, who I think is going to end up being a wide receiver too. I don't know if they're going to even be interested in trying to keep Godwin. You drafted Bucky Irvin. You also have Tristan Wirfs and a very strong, solid offensive line.
Yeah, you're the first in history to be left tackle, right tackle, all pro. And he's like 27.
Right. So you look at this team, and you got a bunch of adults on this team, and then the young guys came in ready to rock and roll. Now I'm going to tell you what Cohen has done for his career, and you tell me how you feel about this. Liam Cohen started out, played football with the Alabama Vipers, minor league, indoor league football, quarterbacks coach at Brown, pass game coordinator, quarterback coach at Rhode Island, back to quarterbacks coach at Brown, pass game quarterbacks coach at UMass, OC at Maine. This is where it always kicks off right here. Then he becomes the assistant wide receivers coach at the LA Rams. Every time that McVay touches a person, they think that he's McVay. Then he's the assistant quarterbacks coach with the Rams. Then he goes to Kentucky. He's the offensive coordinator. Let me tell you, Kentucky ain't been blowing the doors off of nobody on offense. Not to the point where you feel like, oh, I got to have him. Then he goes back to the Rams to be the OC in 2022. Then he goes back to Kentucky to be an OC. And this is damn near every year. Then he's the OC quarterbacks coach at Kentucky 2023, offensive coordinator for the Bucks 2024, 2025. He's the head coach. I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing in this entire man's resume where I say, you know what, he excelled. I'm going to just lay it out to you flat. This is the reason the black coaches are upset. I don't. He's never been good. And let's be real. The only reason that anybody's even interested in talking to him is because he was with the Rams, where we know he was not calling any plays.
And he has this weird history of leaving a place then going back to a place. He went to the Rams, left the Rams, came back to the Rams, left, went to Kentucky, came back to the Rams, went to Kentucky again, then came back to Tampa Bay.
He's had 12 jobs since 2010. 12. That's 12 jobs in 15 years. Bro, if you look at a person's resume, we do it for a living. Like, I don't know if this is the employee we want. He ain't going to be here. And football season is not 365 days.
I'm trying to figure out who he knows. Like, for him to always get that. But how did you get to McVay's staff? How do you go from Maine to McVay?
You got to see a man about a dog.
Sure. But yeah, you're right. This is an issue, and why, man, DEI, boy. This is why you have DEI. Not because you're hiring an unqualified coach because they're of a certain minority or demographic. It's because people like Liam Cohen has had 12 jobs since 2010. He's never really been a good Brian Schottenheimer too, right? But then you have I
understand Schottenheimer a little bit more because Jerry has a guy. Jerry's looking for a puppet. So that disqualifies the majority of people.
Sure. But even I'm not going to say you want to put a black man as a puppet, but Milton Patterson has coached for 30 years. And he's just now getting into
are interested in having a black coach either. I think Jerry has a specific type of person that he is looking for. Both in every sense of the word. And Jerry has a type.
Yeah, but my point is Milton Patterson has coached for like 20 years, and he's just now getting to be an inside linebacker coach at NFL. This dude coached for 12 different places in 12 years to end up being a head coach in 14, which is out of this world insane.
What was old boy who was coaching FAMU and now just started coaching in Florida Atlantic? Simmons. It ain't no way in hell that you can tell me that Liam Cohen is a better coach than Simmons, than Willie Simmons. Not even close. But that's the problem. You got to be twice as good to get half as far. And Willie happy with that Florida Atlantic job, and he should be. But if you're gonna hire the Liam Colemans of the world, then what are we really doing here? But this is the other part. I don't want a black coach to get this job. Jacksonville is a terrible organization, and I know people love sports and they want to watch their team be good. You have to really look at your team holistically. These teams are poorly run. They're run by people who run their own personal businesses to varying degrees, but just because you can run another business doesn't mean you can run a football team. And that's really the issue for a lot of these guys, is they think that, oh, well, I was very successful in this area of business, so I definitely can run a football team, and nothing but Madden to me. That's the reason you have the Matt Ishbias of the world running the Phoenix Suns into the ground. It's not, it don't transfer like that.
Yeah.
How many years do you think he stays in Jacksonville?
3.
My bet is 2. And I'm happy that no black coach took this job, because you also have the worst contract in the NFL. Good luck. Fix it.
The New York Jets signed Aaron Glenn in a move that everybody kind of knew was coming. Aaron Glenn, if you remember, depending on how old you were, you remember played with the New York Jets back in the day. Had the baggy sleeves, not the spandex sleeves that everybody wears now. Had the baggy long sleeve T-shirts sleeves out there goon squadding it up. Very intense player, and his introductory press conference was super intense. basically said this is going to be a huge undertaking to turn this team around, but we're from New York. We're the New York Jets. We've been through hard times. We're built for it. So I like that because he's establishing precedent. Hey, y'all know y'all suck. We've been bad for a while. We know that it's going to take a lot to turn this around, and I'm going to have to get rid of Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Freeman and basically try to keep Quinnen Williams and Garrett Wilson. I've got to figure out. That's his first thing, is to figure out how he's going to keep those guys. So I hate that Glenn, from the black guy's perspective, I know you hate him going to the Jets, but if there's anybody, he wanted to go to the Jets because he's tied to the Jets. So I'm not really upset about it.
Yeah. So for me on this one, he came in, he said, we're the freaking Jets. We built for this shit. I like that. I think the first thing you got to do is clear Aaron Rodgers out of there. And then I think that, he's another guy who has to teach his team how to win again. You got to get used to being like going into games and not thinking we're finna get our ass kicked. That matters. That matters, especially to a professional.
Yes and no. I think that team is in a different space because they have 2 seasons of, compared to what they were. Unfortunately, it was Zach Robinson. 3 seasons, I guess. Like they're so good on the defensive side of the ball, even though they lost Ulbrich and Salah, which again, poorly run organization. They're so good that I think especially with Aaron Glenn being a DB and knowing how to coach defense, I think Sauce Gardner, and if they do keep Woodson on the other side, if they do keep those 2 guys, they're going to be crazy in the secondary. And plus, Quinnen Williams is one of those guys that you don't have to teach. So he's already good.
This is kind of tricky to me.
That's your favorite
This
line.
team, because I look at the black, white, and the gray. This team does have a solid roster. It's got enough of a solid pieces. Still got Brees, Garrett. Like, it's not a team. It's not like going to the Saints and being like, what do I do here? This is a salvageable team. The issue is still top-down leadership. Will the Jets brass get out of the way and let Aaron Glenn run this program how he wants to run the program?
I would assume so. Because they're at the point now, Aaron Rodgers has put them in such a situation to where Garrett Wilson is upset, Sauce Gardner's upset, Quinnen Williams isn't happy, Breece Hall is upset. Breece Hall, y'all don't remember, we talked about it. Breece Hall was mad he wasn't getting as many carries. Like, you have all of those things, and now you bring in a new guy. Hopefully, you can salvage those relationships. But he's got to hire. I think he's already hired his offensive coordinator. I think he took the QB's coach from Detroit.
See, and that's where I get frustrated is black coaches always go in and do these PR jobs after. I don't blame this on Salah as much as I blame this on Woody Johnson.
Woody Johnson. Salah had nothing to do with this. Salah was making a game plan when he got fired.
But Woody Johnson, are you going to get out of the way? You got to get out of the way. And the man is also the guy who runs Johnson & Johnson. So I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure on what he's going to do or willing to do or not do.
Yeah. So I'm happy, excited to see what Aaron Glenn does. This is one of my teams. I'm already gonna let y'all know now before we get to the draft, before we get to free agency, before we get to all of those things. This is one of my teams to make one of the bigger turnarounds of the year. We just got to see what they do at quarterback. But I think he's going to have that defense. He's learned a lot from Dan Campbell. I think he's going to build a similar team to Dan Campbell. They already have like half the roster that they need to build a Lions roster. So I think that they could do it.
Don't forget, they still have Jordan Travis from Florida State. And this is another team that might get into the field sweepstakes. I'd be intrigued to see what Justin Fields looks like.
If I'm not mistaken.
Right. Give me that. And yeah, that might be a workable if you can get Justin Fields, and then you could pay Justin Fields $20 million. It's you still paying you was paying Aaron Rodgers like 35, 40. That's a whole nother legitimate player you can go get.
Another you could go get. They already said that they're already interested in T. Higgins to pair with Garrett Wilson. So it was like,
right.
As soon as they said that, I was like, well, they got to figure out what they're gonna do at quarterback now. Don't be stupid like the Giants and assume that you want to go get Derek Carr. You already done by firing Robert Saleh, who is now going back to San Francisco to be the defensive coordinator, and which is what they needed. Kirk
Cousins.
Who? Oh, the Giants?
To the Jets.
No, the Jets not
to the Giants.
The Jets will. I would